Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm just going to introduce the third and final part of my test track and diorama build. It's been a long time making it and the film footage has been quite extensive, so sit back. I hope you enjoy this final part, and there were a couple of additions that I did right at the end, so take a look at those and you'll see the finished product, and it all works and I'm really happy. So without further ado, let's dive straight in and see that final bit. But what I wanted to talk about today was how I'm putting a Backscene on. Now what I've got here is some picture framers 2.3 millimeter, sorry, 2.3, 2.4, something like that, 2.5 mil. I'm not quite sure, I should know because I use it all the time. But anyway, that aside, I've made it 12 inches tall so that I can shoot quite low an angle here and still hopefully get a lot of this in. And I'm also trying to decide whether or not if you can see this, whether to enclose that in this fashion. So what I'm looking at doing is maybe sorting this out in this fashion, where I put in glue this section to there and then just maybe put a little bit of definition in this end, and maybe the same for the other end. I'm not too sure, because if I do that, then I absolutely if I do that, I completely muller myself from shooting down the track. So half of me thinks that I might just do that, but I'm going to save these two pieces for the moment because they can be added in at a later date. So what I'm just doing is just giving myself a rough guide pencil line where the back comes to, so I don't really need to paint below this line here, just a little bit, just to make sure it's not seen. The rest of this area here will be glued to the back, and this will become my sky and maybe just a little bit of something there. So I'm going to get on and paint that. I've already cut the board. Let's get this out the way for a second or two. I've cut the board and it's had one coat of prime. So now it's ready to have the sky colour on, and I'm going to get my artist colours out for this. You don't need to use expensive colours. I happen to have these ones, so I shall use them, but it's not absolutely necessary. You can go and buy a couple of tubes at £3 a tube and be done with it. In fact, I think, you know, I've got some outside. Why am I not doing that? So bear with me, I'll be back in a minute and we'll carry on. So that's why I've got it, but let's just see where we go. In, and I'm going to put in some greeny colours, which I know roughly where that line is, so I'm going to suggest a little bit of this permanent sap green, and I'm going to put a touch of this grey in. Now this is all acrylic, so whether it's cheap acrylic or good acrylic doesn't make an awful lot of difference for this sort of job. I mean, if I was painting a picture, then I would only use artist acrylic. I wouldn't use cheap stuff. But that's because the quality is not there. There's a lot more bulking medium in here, and the pigment is not as strong. So to that end, I choose to use good quality. I never thought that some of my acrylic brushes would be used for painting railway scenery, but here we go. We're doing just that. Hi everybody, welcome back. And I'm not sure how much of this you actually saw me do, because I seem to recollect that when I finished I thought the camera was slightly off to one side, and therefore I think a lot of it down this side you never got to see. But hopefully you got enough from it, and all I'm going to do is, it's dried overnight. I had it near a warm source, so there's a little bit of a bow in this. Hopefully once I put this on and glue it, then it will come out. If not, I can always put a little bracing along the back there, so it's not a big deal. But I'm just going to go back in with one or two other dark areas just to suggest a little bit more in this foreground. I just want a bit more. There may still be some there. There we go. A bit more blue, a bit more yellow in there. Just to bring up one or two contrasts in this foreground, or semi-foreground as it were. There we go. Alright, so I think that's enough. Alright, let's just get this down and in place. Put these back on. Okay, so I hope you get the idea. I think that looks fine. There's a nice distance to it. The greens, I might put one or two bits of connective shrubs on the top there, just to make that little transition a bit easier. But when that's pushed up too, forgetting the light's causing a shadow, you get the idea. And then maybe one or two little bits of shrub just in the top there too, because this is not going to come off, so I think it'll be fine. I'm quite happy with the result of that, and it's just one of those extra things that you can do to either your layout or to something of this nature and have a bit of fun with. But it's a learning curve, because this is just, as I say, it's just a bit of fun. But you know, when it comes to doing your own work layout and scenics and even backdrops, there's nothing stopping you having a go yourself and doing some of this sort of thing. And I do totally intend to do a lot of my own back scenes. I had thought long and hard, do I do them at all? But I actually think I will. And it's going to be a lot of this sort of process. It doesn't need to have huge complex building structures, because very little of my back scene is scenically town. Okay, welcome back, and this is as far as I've got. I've now glued the back scene to this section, because what I intend to do is to put a little bit more clump stuff in here and on the back here, just to make it a little bit more I don't know, sort of seamless transition. It looks fine, I just want to make it a little bit more. I also rusted these two pieces of old 00 track, Hornby track that I had, and I used that rusted. I bought it from Squires at the Folkestone show recently. Never tried it before, but I actually think it's a really good product. This is straight onto the metal, no keying, no messing around. It's dried up. I put the two different colours on. It seems to have done the job. What I will do is I'm going to weather it just a little bit more so that it's not as lively an orange as it appears, but essentially it's a good piece of rust. Okay, zoomed in, and now you can see the rail, and hopefully I've used weathering powders on it to lessen the orange impact of the rust colour. You know how sort of old rusting metal lays there, gets patina from damp and dirt and all sorts of things on it. It's just been generally left there and forgotten about, and that's what I wanted to convey. So hopefully that works. I put one just laying on top of the other piece. I will glue those into place once I've fully decided that I want them there, so I'm not rushing. Yeah, one or two more things I want to do, including I want to paint the whole of the back and the sides, and this here, I want to paint that black so that it sets this scene off. I still haven't decided whether to put the M panels on. Okay, so where we're going to go now is I've got some different products in front of me. One thing I do use quite a bit of is this basing glue. I've also used general white glue. If I'm honest with you, I'm not too sure what the difference is, although I do know that this has got quite a bit of price difference compared to normal white glue. So, I don't know. Jury's out, we'll see. This I have got, I tried to use this, but some of these things work well. I bought a Woodland Scenics one, or a Pico one I think it was, with a plunger. Absolutely useless, I've got to say. You know, I got two bottles. One, the top fell apart almost after the first or second use, and I ended up with half the bottle that I couldn't use or effectively spray. So I went to use the other one, and what happened with that? It pumps like bilio, but nothing comes out. It's just dumb. So cheap products, well, they're not cheap products, unfortunately. They're very expensive products, but I shan't be buying those again. I will find a different pump spray. Indeed, if this one keeps working, once it's run out, I will replace the contents with something else. And if it works, all the better for it. All right, I'm moaning. Sorry, I will stop moaning and I will get on with the job. What I want to do is just lay a little bit of glue carefully through the back here. And see how that does. Okay, I'm gonna put a bit more here too. All right. So to that end, I'm now going to put in some little bits of flock that I've got here. And this is homemade. This is stuff that I created, dark colour. Very, very similar to that you buy in the jar from Woodland Scenics. And I just want to put some of that in here. Like so. It just adds almost like a hedge or something that's through that back end, like that. Now I can spray this down, and indeed I can hoover off anything that I feel is not where it should be, a little unsightly. But it just, I think, gathers up and completes the scene to the background without gaps or like a little gully. Now, I did think about putting something there in terms of flowers, but I don't think it needs it. I think we've got enough interest there for that. just maybe sprinkle 1 or 2 bits out of this. What I also want to do is I've got some bits and pieces here. Now this is leaf matter that I have indeed got some old leaves. I've dried them in the oven. I've scrunched them up to nothing, and then I've pulverized them further in a coffee grinder. And I have two versions of it. I have the real mashed up stuff, which looks a little bit like leaf litter in terms of size, and something that's even a little bit heavier. Yeah, I don't know what you'd call that, but it's what it is. So I'm going to put a little bit into the top of the jar of this one, and just sprinkle bits here and there. I think that adds to the whole thing. It's very, very fine in the hand, but actually it looks quite grainy when you put it on here. Alright, enough, because I can overdo it, as we all can. Right, so pour that in. Now I've got several bags of this, but this didn't take many goes, and there's so much there it'll last a long, long time. And it does save you spending out on different grades of something from some of these other companies. You know, you get this sort of burnt grass or dirt or whatever. You can mix your own stuff up and make your own. A lot simpler and a whole lot cheaper. Now, one of the last things I want to do before I really start finishing off, I do want to put a couple of little bushy bits in. Now, I do have several pieces of this foliage stuff left from, I believe it was Woodland Scenic. So a couple got broken, and I just want to put a couple, if I can, in place just to suggest that there's something going on right at the back here. For that, I'll probably a little bit of tacky glue just to fix it in place before I finish off by spraying the whole thing. A little dab and set it up. Obviously not going to look quite right until its glue's gone to clear, but it just adds something extra. Tacky glue is really good stuff. Nice big blob. You can actually leave it a little while so it starts to go off and make the job even hold better than it would ordinarily do. Welcome back, and this is pretty much it finished. I think I've cleaned the rails, I've tidied up, I've added a little bit more bits and pieces here and there, but I just thought it'd be nice to show this thing in operation, and just to see, oh, turn it the right way would be good. There you go. This is just that J39 that I weathered a few weeks ago. I still haven't finished, and I know there are things to still be done on this, and I will do those, but I thought it'd be nice just to show you how this thing is and how it's operated. I painted the whole of the thing black, as you can see, including the back of it. Hi guys, and welcome back. This is the little extra bit that I spoke about right at the beginning of the video. I added the end panels in. I wasn't sure for a while whether I should do or not, but I decided to do just that. And I've weathered in the foliage to each end, and I've continued on the hills as they go further and further away into the distance. Hopefully that's quite convincing, and I'm quite happy with that. It makes a lovely finish. I'll bring this little before I do, this little C-Class. This is the new one that I'm just finishing off the weathering on. It's a brand new unit from Kerno, and it will be on eBay very, very soon. As I say, I've just added the coal in. I've got one or two little tweaks to do to it, and it'll be ready to go on the market. Let me just bring it out of the way, if I've got it going the right way. There we are. You can now see that Backscene. If I zoom in a little tighter to it, you can just, I do apologise about the wobbly camera work, but there you go. Hopefully that looks a little bit convincing. I tried to make it so, and I'll just go to the other end and show you that one. Okay guys, this is the other end of the shot. Now you can see once more I've put the end panel on. I've also added some trees and bushes and bits and pieces there to make it convincing, and made the hills recede off into the far distance again. Now I like what I've done, and I'm sure everything can be with time improved, but I'm quite happy with the way this looks. It does meet the needs that I require it to do. The little C-Class has edged its nose into the shot again, I see, but it shows that the angles that I can produce from this alone did not matter that I added in these end panels. I will just move it a little further around and show you exactly some of the angles that I can get. Okay everyone, now you can see the very acute angle that I've got this set at, and I actually can make it even tighter than that. I just thought this would be just enough to demonstrate. But you can see here how I've painted the outside all black, the front, the ends and the back are all black matte. And I've just put these white edgings on. I left them white because probably if I painted them black it would flake off, being plastic, and it wouldn't hold too well. But the other thing is that you get to know that there is that there, and you've got to be a little bit careful of the corners, so it serves a purpose. But you can see if I now come in on this locomotive very gently, I hope, and without making it all go wrong, there we go, a little faster, you can see that all the angles really work out very, very nicely, coming right the way in, and the photography will be doing exactly the same. There we are. So there you go. Proof of the fact that it looks okay, it's doing its job, and it's going to serve me very well in terms of photographing rolling stock, engines and everything else that I care to weather and maybe sell on eBay in the future. I can do the very sharp angles, back, fronts. I can do full-on side shots. Every angle seems to work very, very well from the purposes of this set piece. So I'm glad I've done it. I know it's been a long haul, and I'm sure, or at least I hope you've got something from watching them all, and I hope you're still with me and enjoying this. But it's the end of it, so I'm going to move on to my next project, which I will be alluding to in my next update. So yeah, stay tuned for that, and I'll catch you all very, very soon. And I'm just going to go over to my final thoughts on this and say goodbye. Cheerio for now. Hi everybody, and welcome back. I must apologize for this having been a massive three-part video, but I really did want to get the build right and present something to you that I felt was worthy and for you to enjoy and maybe get something from. I do know for a fact that I've learned an awful lot along the process of building it, and I will take that on into future builds with me. Before I go any further, I must say that I'm filming this on the day that the storm has hit the country big time, and the wind is causing all sorts of noise around the train room. So forgive me if you hear and wonder what all that's about. It's that massive storm. Now then, back to the build. I did intend it to be a lot shorter, but these things just have a way with you. And as you saw right at the end there, I had done a little bit more which just needed covering, so that made it a little longer than I originally had planned. So with that all said and done, the test track is going to be phenomenally useful to me. I can test DC ones as I buy them in, and I can also use it as a DCC programming track, because I took the one off of the Sandling Junction and took that away, so I did need one that was quite separate, and that will cause or create two functions for me. But moreover than that, the diorama build is going to be particularly useful to me in the future. I've already started doing a lot of weathering, not only of my own stock, but also buying new pieces of locos and weathering them and selling them on eBay, and also older models and putting those out and done on eBay. And I'm also doing weathering for other people too. So moving forward, as I finish one, I can display it on that diorama and that test track, and I can photograph it ready for sale. So that's a big plus for me. And on top of that, I'm already building a new diorama. It's taken a little bit of time. I'm about 2/3 of the way through it right now. Really am enjoying the process. I won't tell you what it's about yet, but when it comes out, probably a month or so, I'm not too sure. I'm working on it as hard as I can, but these things do take time, as I'm sure you're aware. But when it comes out, I'll announce it and you get to see it and give me your feedback, give me your thoughts. That'd be fantastic. In the meantime, happy modeling, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I've enjoyed building it. I catch you all on the next video from Sandling Junction. Don't know whether it's going to be an update. I don't know if it's going to be something else yet, but whatever it is, catch you all then. Bye bye for now. Bye.